I supported my sister, financially for a year, but during a family gathering, she publicly said, "You're bothering me." For an entire year, I sent my sister $500 every week, but during a holiday dinner, she announced loudly, "You're bothering me. Why did you even come?" I was stunned and left immediately. A day later, she came begging for forgiveness. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. And I really should have. But when my younger sister, Lisa, approached me last year, explaining how she was struggling to afford her education, I didn't hesitate. She was family, and I had always been there for her. She told me she was overwhelmed. Tuition, textbooks, rent. It was all too much. She claimed she had no one else to turn to. Our parents had never been generous, even though they always seemed to favor her. They hadn't helped me during my college years, and according to her, they weren't helping her either. So I stepped up. I wasn't wealthy, but I had a stable job, a modest apartment, and few expenses. I thought, what's $500 a week if it helps her finish school? And so it began. Every Friday, without fail, I transferred the money. For months, I felt good about it, like I was finally the dependable one in the family. But then, small things started to feel off. She never mentioned her classes. No stress over exams, no complaints about professors, no updates on grades. At first I assumed she was just private, but then my younger brother, Mark, casually dropped a bombshell during a phone call. We were chatting about family drama when he mentioned, "Oh, Lisa's place is nice. She shares it with friends, but it's way better than here." I froze. Roommates? She had made it sound like she was barely scraping by on her own, one of the main reasons I'd been sending her money. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I started paying closer attention. Then came another red flag. One night, Mark and I were talking again, and I asked about Lisa's classes. He hesitated before admitting, "I don't think she's even going anymore." The words hit me like a punch. I pressed him, and he finally confessed she'd failed several courses, stopped attending, and was likely getting expelled. That was the moment I realized I'd been deceived. I decided not to cut her off completely, not yet, but I was done being taken advantage of. The next Friday, I sent her $250 instead of $500. She noticed instantly. Within minutes, my phone buzzed. "Hey, you only sent $250, was that a mistake?" I ignored it. An hour later, another text. "You forgot the rest." Still, I didn't reply. She went silent after that. For 2 weeks, I sent $250 every Friday, and she said nothing. I assumed she'd gotten the message. Little did I know what was coming. The holidays were approaching, and I hadn't planned to attend the family dinner. These gatherings always brought unnecessary drama. But Mark convinced me. Come on, it's just one meal. So I went. Big mistake. At first, everything seemed normal. Mom was preparing the meal, Dad was setting the table, Mark was glued to his phone. For a moment, I wondered if I'd overreacted. Maybe Lisa just needed time to cool off. Then she walked in. She didn't greet me, didn't even glance my way. She sat on the couch and announced, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Why did you even come? You annoy me!" The room fell silent. I stared at her, wondering if I'd misheard. She rolled her eyes. "No one invited you." I looked at my parents, waiting for them to say something, anything, but they just kept setting the table like nothing had happened. I didn't argue. I grabbed my keys and walked out. Not a single person tried to stop me. 24 hours later, Lisa showed up at my door with our parents in tow. I hadn't expected to hear from her after that incident. If anything, I figured she'd spend the next few weeks bad-mouthing me or sending passive-aggressive texts. I was wrong. That evening, as I was relaxing at home, someone started banging on my door. Not knocking, but pounding so hard the neighbors could hear. I already knew who it was. I opened the door to find Lisa, with our parents right behind her. She pushed past me like she owned the place. Mom followed, shaking her head in exaggerated disappointment. Dad lingered before stepping inside and closing the door like this was some kind of intervention. I didn't speak, just crossed my arms and waited. Lisa flopped onto my couch, looking irritated, as if I had wronged her. Then she spoke, not to apologize, not to acknowledge what happened, but to demand, "When are you sending the rest of the money?" That's when I understood how deep her entitlement ran. She truly believed I owed her, that I was obligated to keep funding her life just because she wanted me to. There was no gratitude, no recognition of the year I'd spent supporting her. Just expectation. When I told her the payments were over, she scoffed like I was joking. My parents weren't any better. Mom said Lisa needed support, that it was my duty as her older sibling to help. Dad just nodded, already bored, so I laid it all out. I told them I knew about the roommates. I knew she'd lied about living alone. I knew she hadn't attended classes in months and was about to be expelled. I even told them Mark had been the one to reveal it. Their reaction wasn't what I expected. Lisa didn't look embarrassed, just annoyed. Mom barely blinked. Dad muttered that it wasn't a big deal. That's when I realized how deep their favoritism went. Mom actually defended her, saying Lisa wasn't built for struggle like I was, that it was easier for men to make money, so I shouldn't hold it against her. Lisa just sat there, arms crossed, waiting for me to cave. So I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and canceled the automatic transfers right in front of her. Her face twisted with rage. She jumped up, screaming that I couldn't do that I had no right. Mom gasped like I'd committed a crime. Dad sighed and walked out. Lisa stormed off, slamming the door behind her. Mom gave me a long, disapproving look before following. Dad left without another word. I locked the door and sat down, feeling lighter than I had in months. But Lisa wasn't done. The next morning, my phone blew up with messages. From her, from Mom, even from numbers I didn't recognize. Lisa was furious, swinging between demands and insults. She called me selfish, ungrateful, a terrible sibling. Mom's texts were worse, accusing me of abandoning family, saying Lisa had cried all night, that I was ruining her life over a little money. The unknown numbers? Lisa's friends. She'd told them I refused to help, and now they were harassing me, calling me names, even saying it was my responsibility as a man to support her. It was so absurd I almost laughed. Instead, I blocked every single one. But later that evening, as I was leaving for groceries, I opened my door to find Lisa standing there, arms crossed, looking exhausted. Mom stood behind her, rubbing her temples like the whole ordeal had drained her. Dad was nowhere to be seen. He'd clearly had enough. Lisa didn't waste time. "You have one last chance to fix this," she said, as if I were the one who owed her an apology. I said no. She exploded, ranting about rent, bills, and how she didn't have time to get a job. When I asked what she was doing, she waved me off like it didn't matter. Mom chimed in, saying I was being cruel, that family helps family, that I had more money, so why did it matter? So I told them the truth. I wasn't as well off as they thought. Over the past year, I'd given Lisa $26,000, more than enough to cover her needs. I couldn't keep sacrificing my own future while she did nothing. Lisa didn't care. She called me selfish, said I didn't love her, that she'd have helped me if the roles were reversed. A lie. When I asked why she wouldn't get a job, she finally snapped, "I had one, but I quit because it was stressful. I deserve better." That was it for me. I told her I'd never give her another cent. She needed to grow up and figure things out herself. Lisa stormed off. Mom gave me one last disappointed look before following. For the first time in months, my phone was silent. No calls, no texts. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd finally accepted reality. Then Mark called. His first words made my stomach drop. "Dude, Lisa's moving back in with Mom and Dad." Apparently, she'd shown up with her things, claiming it was temporary, but Mark knew better. "She's been complaining nonstop," he said. "Says it's all your fault." A week later, Mom called. I let it go to voicemail, but she texted, "Call me. We need to talk." I knew what was coming. When I called back, she didn't even say hello. "Lisa needs to come home, but our house is too small. If you won't send money, at least let her stay with you." I laughed out loud. Mom didn't appreciate it. She said Lisa just needed a few months to adjust. Adjust? She'd been living rent-free for a week, doing nothing, and now they wanted to dump her on me? I shut it down immediately. Mom accused me of abandoning family, holding a grudge over a few harsh words. I hung up. But the next day, I came home to find Lisa outside my apartment, with 2 suitcases. She wasn't crying, wasn't begging, just standing there like she'd already moved in. I walked past her, unlocked my door, and stepped inside without a word. She tried to follow, but I blocked the doorway. "Mom said you'd let me stay," she said, as if it were decided. I told her no. She rolled her eyes. Where else am I supposed to go? Not my problem, I said. She scoffed. You have the space. It's not like you have a roommate or a girlfriend. Why do you even care? I told her I cared about my peace, my sanity, and not being manipulated into supporting an entitled adult who refused to work. She hated that. She yelled, called me selfish, said I was leaving my sister out in the cold. Then she dropped the classic line, "It's just until I figure things out." I asked if she'd even tried to get a job. She made a face. Mom and Dad said you'd take care of it. That was all I needed to hear. I stepped back, grabbed the door, and said, "Then go to them." And I shut the door in her face. She didn't scream, just muttered angrily before stomping off with her suitcases. An hour later, Mom called, furious. "Lisa came home hysterical. I didn't raise you to be so heartless." I deleted the voicemail without responding. That night, I slept better than I had in years. But Lisa wasn't finished. A few days later, my bank flagged an attempted $500 transfer from her. She'd saved my account details and tried to withdraw money as if it were hers. I closed the account, changed all my banking details, and waited for her to explain herself. She never did. Instead, Mom called, demanding I unblock Lisa because she needs the money. That was the final straw. I called Mom back and said, "I'm done with Lisa, with you, with all of it." She screamed, called me cruel, said I'd regret it. I hung up mid-sentence and blocked her, Dad, and Lisa. For the first time in years, my life was peaceful. No guilt trips, no demands, no drama. Then Mark called. After some small talk, he deadpanned, "Hey, can I borrow $5,000? I nearly dropped the phone. "You're joking, right?" He burst out laughing. "Dude, you should have heard yourself. I got you." We both laughed. Before hanging up, he said, "For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Lisa actually had to get a job." Shocking, right? I smiled. Not my problem anymore. And for the first time, I truly meant it. Update. 6 months later, life is better than ever. No more $500 weekly drains, no guilt trips, no Lisa. But just when I thought it was over, Mark called again. "You're gonna want to hear this." Turns out, Lisa's situation had gotten worse. She'd been forced to take a job she hated. Then our parents got tired of her and told her to contribute or move out. She threw a fit, called them selfish, and left. She moved in with one of her friends, the same ones who'd harassed me. 2 months later, they kicked her out for not paying rent or helping around the house, and then she tried to contact me. I found a blocked message from an unknown number. "Hey, I know things got messy, but I need a place to stay, just until I figure things out." I deleted it without replying. Mark laughed when I told him. "Guess you're her last option now." "Not anymore," I said. Lisa made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. If you enjoyed this story and felt the emotions behind it, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences and heartfelt stories. Your support means the world, and it helps us bring more content like this to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.